Okay, so today we are going to be continuing on with my favourites and non-favourites for the first half of the year. Today we're going to talk all the books that I didn't like enough to even complete them. That's right, we're talking all the books that I DNF'd in the first half of the year. Now, if you don't know what DNF stands for, that's totally fine. It stands for Did Not Finish. So we're talking all the books that I picked up, got to a point where I thought, nah, don't want to finish this one, put it down, and didn't go back to it. I hang on to all these books for a specific reason, and that is to do these videos, my books that I DNF'd videos. So I have seasonal DNFs that I do. Once a season I talk about the books that I DNF'd that season, and I'm also got this one, all the books I DNF'd for the first half of the year, and then at the end of the year I'll be talking to you guys about all the books that I DNF'd throughout the entirety of 2021. But today we're talking about the books that I've DNF'd for the first half of the year, so let's get right into it. I'm going to be doing this in chronological order. Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin. This is a YA contemporary book, and I DNF'd this book quite early on. The reason why I DNF'd this book really early on, this book opens up, literally opens up, with a character that is holding a knife, standing in front of a mirror, and giving us a metaphor that the knife is so sharp that you will bleed just by looking at it. This really threw me. I refer to it as too much too soon. I have no problem with violence or violent imagery appearing in books. I read a lot of fantasy. There's a ton of battles. I'm used to violence and gore. I've read a lot of horrors and thrillers. I'm used to all that. But I need to be invested first. And I was not invested in this woman that was suddenly holding a knife that was going to make her bleed just by looking at it. It was just not working for me. Unfortunately, Princess Ben by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch. This book is a YA fantasy, and I say that I was disappointed to DNF it because I was actually really looking forward to reading this book. I love regal, royal books, whether they are fantasy, contemporary, romance. If it's got regal, royal themes in it, I love it 9 times out of 10. But this book contained a writing style trope that I did not like, and I do not like, and that is the, what I coin as, ye old English style of writing. Thee, thy, thou, thou. I mean, like, it's just too much for me. Now, I'm someone who not only studied English literature, but also theatre studies in high school, so I learned a lot about Shakespeare, but I never enjoyed it, nor did I ever really like it. I guess I appreciated what Shakespeare did, but the idea that I need to work for what I'm reading by reading a line and then having to mentally translate it in my head before moving on to the very next line, and then translating that in my head and then moving on to the very next line, it's too much of a headache for me. It's too much work. I want to relax when I'm reading a book, somewhat going to be a little bit controversial, because it is a very popular book on BookTube, and that is this book, House of Earth and Blood, which is book 1 in the Crescent City series. This is an adult fantasy book, and a lot of people love it, and I can understand why they do, because I think the premise of this book is pretty amazing, but my issue was definitely within the execution of the book. This is a book that is over 800 pages long, which makes it a tome and a half. A tome, for those who don't know, is a book that is 500 pages plus. I read 200 pages at least of this book before I DNF'd it, so all you Crescent City fans out there, I gave this book a go, but it just didn't work for me. I was not intrigued by it. It was not capturing my attention in any way, shape, or form. And so, with so many other books that I was eagerly anticipating on my TBR, I thought, why not DNF it? The Tower of Fools by, I hope I'm saying this right, Andrzej Sapkowski. Okay, interesting story. So I picked this book up when I was in a bit of a reading slump and I temporarily became a mood reader. I'm glad to say I found my way out of that. Some people are mood readers and it works for them, and I think that's wonderful if it works for you, don't get me wrong. But for me, someone who wants to experience as much as I can with books, with all different genres, all year long, being a mood reader just isn't gonna work for me. I just really, gotta be honest, I didn't give it much of a chance. I mood read DNF'd it. I wasn't in the mood to read it. And I literally said in my seasonal DNF video with this book that I had no good reason to DNF it other than that it was a mood DNF read. And so because of that, this is the one and only book that I DNF'd this year that is being revived. It is being given a second chance and it is coming to a TBR near you very, very soon. Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This is an adult fantasy and I purchased this book as an impulse buy. The big reason why I bought it as an impulse buy, why I was impulsed to buy it, if that works, was because I have a massive interest in seeing the musical, and when I found this book I hadn't had the opportunity to see the musical, so I thought it would be a good compromise to purchase the book. I DNF'd this book 83 pages in, and it took me, no lie, forever to get to those 83 page mark. And the reason for that was because of the writing style. I just wasn't connecting to the writing style at all. But not only the writing style, because sometimes I can deal with a writing style that I don't vibe with as long as the plot works for me, but the plot wasn't working for me with this book either. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This is an adult grim dark fantasy. I was really intrigued by this book. I couldn't wait to get into this series. Unfortunately, my problem with this book was twofold. First of all, it is character driven, and I am not a character driven book fan. I struggle big time with character-driven books. My second issue with this book, however, is that the book opens up with a battle occurring. Very similar to Foul is Fair, my problem is that I didn't know these characters, so I did not care about them. A guy is running. He's trying to get away from this guy, and it's like, okay, who are you? Why am I just being dropped into this world? What is going on? Oh my gosh, I'm so confused. And I DNF'd it. The Year the Maps Changed by Danielle Binks. This is a middle grade contemporary book that I can't even. I'm gonna try and be nice because I'm not a mean person, but I don't know how to put this in a nice way, but I'm gonna try. I didn't connect with this book. Alright, you guys, I'm gonna have to be a little bit mean here so that you specifically understand why I didn't like this book. But please know, I'm not trying to be mean to Danielle Binks. I'm just making my point as to why I didn't like it. I love contemporaries. I love my middle grade books. I am someone who has no issue with middle grade. In fact, some of my favorite books are middle grade books, and I'm happy to say that very loudly and very proudly. My issue with this book is nothing was happening. And I'm so sorry if that's mean, but it's the only way I can be specific enough with you guys so you understand why I DNF'd this book. Nothing was happening. I got to the end of chapter 1 and I was thinking, okay, I guess this is some kind of a setup. Let's hope that by the end of chapter 2, something's happening. We got to the end of chapter 2. Nothing was happening. And I thought this is kind of weird because I've never read a book where 2 chapters in, nothing is happening. So I thought, okay, alright, I made it this far. Danielle Binks, you can have one more go. I'll read the 3rd chapter. And nothing was happening. I DNF'd it because why am I going to keep reading a book where nothing is happening and it's just not pulling me in? Was that too mean? I'm sorry if it was. Let me know in the comments below if that was too mean. The final book that I DNF'd for the first half of 2021 was a definite personal disappointment for 2 reasons, and I'll explain why to you once I reveal that it was My Only Sunshine by Rowan McAllister. This is an adult LGBTIQ+ book. And that is reason number one that I was really disappointed to be DNFing this book. LGBTIQ plus representation means a lot to me on this channel. Being a gay man, I want to represent that genre as much as I can. And in fact, I have a goal to read 12 LGBTIQ plus books by the end of the year, and I'm doing pretty well so far with it. My second reason why I was really disappointed to DNF this book was because it was the fourth book that my sister purchased for me that I DNF'd, and I just felt so horrible. I'm so fortunate that I have such an understanding sister who says to me, if you don't enjoy a book, stop reading. She purchased for me books 2, 3, and 4 in the Princess Diaries series. I read book 2, and then had the uncomfortable conversation of, I'm so sorry, but I'm just not enjoying it. So she said, let it go. And then I had to have the uncomfortable conversation about this one. So let me tell you what my issue was. I started off with this book listening to it as an audiobook. I had a lot of other things I needed to do, but I didn't want to stop my flow of reading. So put in the earphones, put on the audiobook, was doing what I was doing while I was listening to the audiobook. My problem was, about 2 chapters in, my issue with the audiobook was that it was completely dry. It just wasn't working for me. The narrator, who I'm not trying to be mean about, I'm just making my point, the narrator didn't have any inflection in his voice. He was just kind of reading it in a bored, monotone type way, and it just really wasn't intriguing for me at all. So I decided, to heck with the audiobook, put that aside, finished what I was doing, and thought, I'm going to give it a second chance because my sister bought it and I don't want to DNF all the books she bought me for Christmas. So I picked it up and I started reading it. And after getting a chapter through this book, I realized, oh gosh, it wasn't the audiobook narrator at all. It was the fact that the audiobook narrator had next to nothing to work with. Okay, again, I'm not trying to be mean to Rowan McAllister. Yeah, it was just so incredibly dry for a read. I don't expect the world. I really don't. But when you have dry characters, dry setting, dry plot, dry exposition, it makes for an incredibly dry read. And I'm just not someone who likes dry styled books. So unfortunately, I had to DNF this one too. And now for everyone's favourite game that we call up. These are the books that I DNF'd for the first half of 2021. This is the one book that I have revived from DNFing, and you will see it. I promise you, it's locked in. You will see it on a future TBR. But that is where I am going to leave it. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting this channel, Mr. Francy Reads. Whether you've been supporting me from the start in 2020 or whether you have been supporting me as a newcomer this year, your likes, your comments, just everything that you guys have done to support me has been so much appreciated. So thank you very, very much. Please do continue the discussions with me below. I really do enjoy having them with you guys. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah! Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading!